Hello, everybody. Hello, RPG Limit Break. Welcome to the 8th week of the Eblan Elixir League. This is the twin cast. We've got two matches here for you all to observe. I am here with Tall Grant to talk to you about Noob Tree versus Engadave and Irene versus Squarin.
Hi, everybody. Hope everybody has been having a fantastic day. I would be remiss if I didn't shout out the rest of our crew tonight. We have two fantastic trackers that are going to be making sure the buttons don't get eaten and the key items don't get dropped. That is going to be Bangagong and Fiery Blizzard. And, of course, the queen herself, Asuka, is managing this whole mess as we run it tonight. So, Mecca, how do you feel about having an edge start?
I feel strong. An edge start allows you to do early Baron plays and early Eblan plays. Edge is one of the characters that benefits from Eblan significantly as well. So, I mean, he's got a good toolkit. He can handle AoEs as well, right? Like, so if you run into an early Gauntlet or, Calbrenas or something, you've got a toolkit. The biggest problem with Edge is just making sure he gets a second weapon in his hands, because Edge's formula without a second weapon is garbage.
Well, Edge is... Yeah, and we are not guaranteed that Edge is going to start with a decent weapon either. I've seen enough scenes where Edge starts with a Poison Claw or similar and needs a little help getting off the ground. But he's got ninja magic, and he is super speedy. And as some people like to tell us, we're here to have a great time tonight. So let's have a great time and maybe kick C's booty. I tell you what, the stakes are high.
That high speed is super relevant, too.
It is.
He's our forced anchor, but stakes are high. This is the 8th week, and these are, people in the playoff hunt.
Right.
You have the exact records to mind.
Right. Well, so we have two 5-1 teams that are matching up on the top of your screen tonight, and that will be where Blue Moon Dew is currently playing the bold strategy. They're both 5-2, excuse me, not 5-1, 5-2. And of course, not quite in the playoff contention, but still an exciting thing is Irene versus Garen is Brewdew Attitude, who is currently playing Bring Your Own Bacchus. And of course, that's kind of an intriguing matchup too. Irene is a late replacement in the tournament and is actually had a pretty solid set of showings. I think 1-1 is the record, but both very, very good races. And of course, Garen's been a lot of fun to watch in this tournament, has a winning record, has been probably the anchor that's been pulling together things for Bring Your Own Bacchus. So I think there's going to be some very, very good things to watch for tonight, and I think there's a lot to play for. So thank you for joining us. We're happy you're all aboard.
Yeah.
And I think we will be underway in just a moment here. Do you want to talk a little bit about our 3 bonus objectives?
Yes, so the way this flag set works is that the first 4 objectives you see on the screens of our players are fixed, and then the last 3 are randomly chosen from difficult things. Rat Tail requires a hook and a rat tail, so it's a 2-item objective, just like Legend Sword and Adamant. Burning Village misses the package. You don't have to actually get the character, you just have to burn down the village. It's a cutscene, it takes time, but it's only 1 key item required. Completing the Giant of Babel. That's certainly a thing. That involves going through one of the highest HP spots and one of the highest damage spots in the game.
Well, and I'll talk to you about that in just 1 minute, but we need to see our starters. Edge is going to be paired tonight with Rydia, the maybe romance that a lot of our fan fiction people talk about, and a nice spicy hook start from that DKC.
Start. That's powerful.
Well, how long do you wait to go see your new character?
I don't think I wait long at all, because Leviathan info is relevant. It's possible Leviathan is in the gated shop, and that's pretty relevant.
Well,
all things considered.
There's a lot of other neat things that could be in that gated shop, say Bacchus wine, ninja swords, full moons, coffins.
There's plenty of value there. It's more that for me, right, like knowing that you have Leviathan in the can, right, like if you don't hit anything out of chests or whatever, is a big deal. Just that knowledge. But it looks like everybody's pursuing, except for Noob Tree. Noob Tree's gonna get a little more loot beforehand.
Yeah, Noob Tree deciding that he wants to get some loot out of the backside of Watery Pass. We'll see if that. Everyone else decides that even though it may be full of eels, it's worth collecting that hovercraft, and so they are on their way. Noob Tree, was that a Lilith I spied for him?
In
the back of the Watery Pass. I see another rune ring, which is not quite the impressive item it would be in other flag sets.
That was a life potion we've seen Life Potion, Diamond Shield, Succubus, and Rune Ring out of Noob Tree.
Enjadave pokes his head in the back of the waterfall and finds that Odin is standing there. That'll be a completely optional boss who will, barring Fusoya, will probably be skipped tonight.
Yep. So there was a couple of decent pickups there. A sword to give Edge something to hold in the second hand, and a sorcerer robe, which is late game mage gear.
Well, I'm enjoying seeing how in sync Garen and Irene are right now. Meanwhile, our first player into Cave Eblan is Enjadave, who's going to give us a little looting around and maybe look for the beautiful double stalemate check.
Gaia Hatch, relevant. The Lunar Staff, I think Rydia can still use it as long as she's a child, so if you want Rydia to hit things, she's got to hit her.
Well, not everybody may know this, but if you want to deck Rydia out in white mage gear, you totally can. You just have to get it onto her before she goes through the transition or transformation, I should say, over at Dwarf Castle. And then, of course, you can have her wearing the high armor white shirt or other interesting things that she wouldn't normally be able to put on.
I definitely have white shirt Rydia quite a bit.
I need to think about that more often, frankly. I don't do it as much as I should.
Edward versus Octomam on Mount Hobbs. This looks like we have a Thunderclaw on Edge based on the damage video.
Backup of the secondary Dancing Dagger is not a bad thing either to be playing with there. That's a nice casting effect that puts decent damage out for this early. But we have our first objective, and it is Irene, who has spotted Golbez in Cave Antlion.
Okay, so everyone's likely to see that, but
you never know. There are some.
You never know, but yeah, I think it's pretty likely that we're going to see that. A lot of people prefer to check everything before going hook on the chance that Magma Key's around. I would be surprised, very surprised, that if you left Antlion on the table.
I certainly have never faded Antlion Cave for an entire seed, and had to check with Rose's mom to find out what I missed.
I've certainly faded Antlion for long periods of time as well. But
all right, Enjadave has discovered Sid on the hook route, and we'll stop and take the time to collect him, despite his lack of exit.
We don't know which of the 5 sparkles that we saw there at the Rubicon spot. Some of them aren't terrible. Some of them are absolutely terrible.
Well, as a fan who likes watching, Leviathan in the shop, that is a nice pickup over there.
Yep. I caught that. We didn't get to talk about it, but yeah, no, knowing that Leviathan's there means that you know that Rydia's good, right? Like, you don't have to be like, oh no, will Rydia be good or not? No, Rydia's good.
Interesting. I think Enjadave looked but didn't. He did have some cash. I'm not sure if he picked it up, but I saw two other things.
I think he bought a coffin.
There were ninja hats and then also full moons in there, which that full moon is ideal for getting Edge back road.
Tiara in the chests as well, along with Lilith Rod. I mean, the gear is flowing for Rydia here.
Our esteemed yet
through Golbez.
Nice. Irene finds an earth crystal for his trouble down in Antlion Cave. That is nice. Meanwhile, Garen is going to make that check. Our esteemed on fire yet cold tracker has noted that there were 7 coffins purchased by Enjadave. He's back in the item shop, so I'm assuming that this will be for Leviathan and maybe a few extra coffins. I think that also is a sign that Enjadave plans to be doing some trap chest work later.
Yep. No, I mean, Leviathan is, like, we say that Quake Kid kind of trivializes stuff. Leviathan is Rydia's version of Quake.
Well, how much do you think the opinion of Rydia has gone up due to what we saw in the potion party section of this tournament? Because I know that she was pretty universally recognized as the inferior black mage behind Palom, but with the gear-heavy flag set we had there, I think a lot of people took a second look and said, when you get her with a heroin robe on it, it's pretty nice.
One of her biggest problems is that she's great against everything but Zeromus. Middle sword start? Woo! That's a good edge start right there.
Well, yeah, especially with that nice back row to put on him. That's more than enough to carry you through the overworld until Edge can really find some power.
Exactly. But yeah, like, Rydia's great against everything but Zeromus, and against Zeromus she requires the most XP to get Nuke online. But like, so that's why, like, if you're kind of got a hard-nosed eye towards your Z fight, Rydia's never, like, unless you're going to get the full million, Rydia's never your favorite. But
well, Irene has taken the time to go in and visit the treasury, and it sadly looked like a tier 5 treasury. You know, it's one of the sad, disappointing things in this flag set is because of the loot cap. You just do not see the absolute power and wonderful things of the treasury that you would in a uncapped flag set. So there's no, hey, here's free adamant armor, here's a Murasame just waiting for you.
Yep, I still like it. Generally, I don't like that check later, but it's still plenty early, right? Like, we're not under 10 minutes. That's going to be, a dense 20-some checks, right?
Well, I mean, there was crystal armor in there. That is fantastic to turn into money. And it looks like there's a samurai bow, which is not a bad pickup for a Sid right now.
Nope, samurai bow is a great pickup. So I mean, like it's later in the seed. It's a lot lower value, but this early. Great. There was a siren as well to kind of aid the siren count. So yeah, I mean, I think I would have checked the treasury certainly.
Enjadave has come out of Cave Eblan. He has made his way to Antlion Cave and is currently to work there. And it looks like Nutri will probably be. Let's see. We'll see where Nutri's headed shortly. In the meantime, Irene has decided that it is only worth checking the treasury and is headed out, presumably for Fabul or Mount Hobbs, maybe. Up Mount Hobbs to go see Edward.
Yep, there were ether ones in those shops. So like you often want ethers if you can't find cabins. Okay, it was cat claw. No, okay, so we've seen a cat claw as well. Jeez. Radia starts with a blitz, which is there. We've got better.
And Garen finding that Leviathan and selling the pile of rune rings in the starting kit to get that underway, and we'll probably go discover Sid in a minute. If you
haven't seen that by now, selling 6 to 8 of the rune rings is pretty standard practice.
It's actually kind of nice in the starting kit because there are some flag sets where you have to get a little loot done before you start trying to shop, and this one you can just go right in. That's why you saw Nutri and Enjadave, not Nutri, but Enjadave right on the hook route right away. It's that he knew he had cash in his pocket. He didn't have to loot to be able to buy interesting things, and just got him going. So my question for you: if you're Enjadave, you've looted through a good part of Cave Eblan. Is it worth your time to go check that tier 5 treasury, or do you just let that one ride?
It looks like Enjadave's gear situation is solid. Rydia's solid, right? Like, Rydia's pretty geared up at this point. I'm not sure I would, although right now, like, Sid has nothing, right? And that's not great.
Well, we know from Garen that there's decent gear enough for Sid in there, but it's a lot of time.
I think I'm willing to do it, and with the caveat that it is also the last looting I'm ever going to do. Like unless I do Eblan Castle itself, because like that's enough money for the rest of the seed, generally. Right? Like I think it's so dense that I think I am willing to do it with the understanding that that's the last looting I'm going to do, except maybe Eblan if we're going for trap chests.
Oh,
right.
Thunderclaw there for Irene over in Fabul Castle. That is not a bad pickup. There are enough Thunder Week bosses, even with Odin out of the pool.
Yeah, Odin and Octomam out of the pool.
But Dr. Luge is still out there. Plus, there's this machine-like enemy that tends to live up on the giant that some people like to summon.
It's true. I mean, Thunderclaws are great. They're cheap and they're effective. Elemental weaknesses hit, are 4Xs, right? Mm-hmm. So it definitely, do you want to kill sirens quickly? Do you want to, there's all sorts of reasons to want to have the elemental claws around of any sort.
Well, speaking of things that are nice for elemental claws, there is a war turtle in Fabul.
Yep. Weak to ice when the water's down, weak to lightning when the water's up. The claws give you the gamut of coverage against Kainazo. This spot only has 1,000 and change for HP, so it's not going to be particularly hard to burn it down.
I think Irene may potentially see a wave, but by the time it rolls through there, it's going to be so weak it's not going to be a threat even to the Edward in this party.
Yep. Exactly. It's a 4%, right? Like, so you think that the starting 1,500, or 4% of that is already.
And I don't ever get tired of being wrong because we don't even see the water gather; just plows right through that with that edge. Garen has elected to take the Staleman chest going down the hook route, so we will see if there's anything there. Unfortunately, Sid has gone to sleep and is napping on the job.
That's not good, no. sleep locks are a real thing with the Staleman.
And I missed the reward. It looks like it was a pink tail coming out of the Fable defense for Irene.
Wow, this is an early adamant armor. I'm not sure I've seen that much, but this is an 11.5 adamant armor. That's wow. This seed just got kicked into overdrive.
And unfortunately, the Staleman has gotten the last lap. Garen through it. Meanwhile, Irene is going to, for the first time, move his hovercraft and head over. We'll see if he'll collect his adamant armor. That's big, but where do you put it?
I mean, right now, if Edge is your solution to everything, right? Like the only other option is putting it on Rydia and leaning on Leviathan.
If you get Lyridia sped up, she can theoretically get Leviathan out pretty dang quick in a fight. And again, that was a lot of the play during Potion Party, was to throw that heroin robe on her. Even with the spellcasting penalty, it still made her powerful. And of course, this is just going to boost every stat she's holding.
Right, a Bahamut with a heroin robe down is still 4K AoE, and that's plenty.
Well, NG Dave has also found that there is the pigtail and has gone to collect his adamant armor. Meanwhile, Noob Tree has made his way through the Golbez fight, and we have a second attempt at the Staleman being made by Garen. We'll see if this
art's going to help the progress a lot.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get through it this time. But this would be something that would pay off. Like a Bahamut would be a huge payout here.
Yes. I mean, second adamant wouldn't necessarily be bad here to some degree, but as those are always diminishing returns.
Well, Noob Tree headed to defend Fabul. Meanwhile, we see Enjade
gotta make a decision.
Putting the adamant armor on Edge, and I think he's going to go right up the tower.
You can't dart the middle sword. Wow, rude.
Enjade is going to go check the treasury, and you'll have your second chance to raid it. I suspect it'll be just about as good as it was last time.
Probably.
Irene has found and dispatched the evil antlion in Baron Inn, and it will now be seeing the Karate Man with the best character in all of Free Enterprise sitting behind him. And no, Asuka, I don't mean Second Edward.
Second Edward. One of the worst possibilities out there. Dragon Whip is in there too, and the Poison Axe. We've got tools.
Yep. Well, we are dancing with the karate.
Yeah, dancing with karate is fine. At this spot, it's like 3,000 or so HP. So, yeah, so and Edge tore it apart too.
Edge Dave heading up the Tower of Zot with his Earth Crystal. So let me talk about one of the other big strategic plays of this.
It is a little early.
It is, but he's got, on the other hand, you have an adamant armor, and you usually feel pretty indestructible, and probably rightly so. But is this a play to look for the guy?
I think you have to consider it a play to look for the guy. Either Fusoya or Cecil. Right, like there's a question right now of do you go to Eblan Castle? Right, well, I said, right, like and because Edge and Rydia both benefit significantly from Eblan Castle, right? Like they're Eblan, Kane, Rydia, and Edge are kind of the tier 2. Like Eblan Castle matters, but Cecil is the tier 0.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Enjade has Leviathan, he has an adamant armor, and he's got 7 coffins. I think he's pretty well geared out to go there should the right person appear.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Garen has taken out the last Staleman. Let us find out. It was a bit of a time investment. Let's see what it pays out for him. A Drain Spear, which is not... it's a nice start for Edge, but it's not quite worth the time that it took to get it.
No. That's unfortunate. That could have been a very big play. A Bahamut, right? Like a Crystal Sword for an upcoming Cecil, right? Like, could have saved Garen the dip into Eblan, right? Like, whereas,
well,
it's unfortunate.
Dark Elf, seeing the impending Memorial Day holiday, takes the cheap vacation and can be found on Zot with its nearness and proximity to Cave Magnus.
Yep.
I don't know. I used to like him, but he changed.
He does that. This is the 9,000 HP for 9,000 XP and 9,000 GP spot. And although the Dark Elf transformation switches with that a little, but it's not going to be a problem for Adamant.
Well, Irene and Garen high-fiving, passing on the way down the hook route, and we see Noob Tree going to get his adamant armor.
Yep.
So we haven't talked about this because the race started, but I was going to chat with you a little bit about this giant objective.
Mm-hmm.
How strong is your hope that the key items appear in such a way that you can fade it and not have to go there?
Honestly, I love the giant to some degree. And the idea that I'm going to hit Legend Sword, Adamant, Hook, Rat Tail, the Bull Gauntlet, and Golbez and Twin Harp all on the blue planet, pretty dicey. Like, that means I'm going to the moon. At that point, why didn't I just do the giant?
Right. Well, the good character news on top of Zot, we have a white mage. Those are always in desire, but we do not see Fusoya or Cecil up here.
No, that white mage is pretty important, though. We were lacking.
Well, and Rosa's about to get exit after this fight, too, so it's a pretty fantastic feeling pickup, and I'm sure Dave is happy with this check right now, especially with this.
Let's see who this boss is.
It's Elements.
Whatever.
This is... Elements is not going to have a good day here.
Yeah, you can't get me to care about Elements with this spot. Firebomb did most of the first form.
Well, that 200... that was a little bit scary. I don't think Mr. Adamant Armor is going to be
it has real magic attack. You really need to
hit it's
here.
Done. Noob Tree electing to also raid the treasury, and I suspect we'll go up the tower here, but we don't know that for certain. He is going to go ahead and dump some Dragoon armor on Sid. And of course, I think we're making our last little set of checks to kind of shake out what people are doing here. I think there's been a lot of common overlap in let's all do Fabul, let's all do Antlion, and let's all check the Eblan Cave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Irene, we have going up Zot, and I think slightly ahead of Garen as far as common checks go, but a bit of a ways to go.
Babel. Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I was not.
Irene is in Babel.
Oh, Irene is in Babel. Well, you know why Irene's in Babel? Because I was not paying attention, but I see what the key item was in Baron Inn.
Oh.
There's a spoon in there.
Ooh,
Edward went from being lesser tier character to being we bow at your feet damage master.
It's certainly an early game damage powerhouse, and the power doesn't go away. It's just that the HP becomes a liability. But yeah, Spoon is a fantastic pickup. Although now you have a third person that really wanted that Adamant armor.
Well, and you see Dave now. Well, I mean, I would have no qualms about letting Edge be Adamant sick and putting that. I don't think there's as good of resistance gear for Edge as there will be for somebody like Sid, but the power that weapon is far beyond anything we found for Edge so far.
Agreed. And the other thing there is that Edge is your anchor, right? Like, do you want a fast anchor in the underground, even with Adamant?
No.
Right, exactly.
I am really enjoying this early hook dip by Irene. That's a very aggressive play, and it's really fun to see. That being said, the high magic defense of these Mad Ogres has stifled Rydia with her attempt to cast Sylph.
Yep.
New Tree going to give us a look at the Flame Dog chest. We always like checking that. We'll see what Dave does as he acquires his spoon.
Yeah, I don't love digging out these back chests in Zot, but this is a flag set where Adamant armors are on the table.
Well, I think
sometimes
Heroine Robe, which is not bad, and actually not a bad. It's a good thing to have for this party. I'm not sure it's quite worth the diversion in time, but it's you're not unhappy. This is not one of those things you look and say, well, this was an absolute, this is not like you open the chest and got an hourglass out of it.
I think you'll be extremely happy once you see Rosa show up. You'll have a samurai bow and someone to use it with their heroine, right? Like Rosa's going to shoot things.
I have no problem actually putting that Heroine Robe on Rydia for this party.
That'd be fine too. We have a Dragon Whip, right? Like, or you could just go with reduced power Leviathans. In the overworld, that's plenty good enough.
I read through the Mad Ogre chest, I think mostly grabbing levels before trying this hook route and seeing who our Magic Sparkle is. And we see a ninja shirt, which is normally fun for Edge, but again, with anchoring, not so fun to be stacking agility on him.
Right.
Dave taking us up Mount Ordeals and has discovered a D-Mist hanging in the first spot, which is actually something you want to see. That's not a terrible fight, and there's another key item check handed right to you.
No, I'm happy to see D-Mist here, because D-Mist at later spots can be quite the pain. And as you say, that's another overworld key item check that you're going to get taken care of.
New Tree taking the Dark Elf through Rydia's car wash, having a good time. You know, I do see on Irene's side, there is a Soma drop. That would be very tasty to give some MP to that cane.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to taste good, but it's going to be tough to use that MP.
Well,
we haven't seen Tella or Fusoya, though, so, I mean, where else are you going to put it?
Well, if you like Tella, Anna fans can rejoice. We see the Water Hag is in the back attack spot, and that should be no problem for any of our runners going through there.
This is one you would have liked to see elsewhere, of course, because he's always easy under this flag set.
Well, Irene discovering that it is Pale Dim on the hook route, which we'll see how hard it's going to hit that Edward. I think that Adamant Armor is going to do good work.
It's Pale Dim at the King Queen spot, right? Like.
I actually think that this may be the second slot, but I did not quite. It looked like it was this is King Queen spot. Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's why I was like, it came out fast and hit hard, and I was like, I feel like that's King Queen spot.
Well, I know the scary one is for Irene with no white mages. If Ogo Pogo's in that next slot, that is a fairly long fight, and there's not a lot of healing.
No, and the AOE healing. I don't know if Rydia's got enough power to do Sylph style healing because of the trigger of the flame, but that is a thing you can do, where like given the right power differentials. But I'm not sure that we have that power differential here for Sylph to actually heal as opposed to just put you further behind.
Garen stopping to pet the flame dog. Meanwhile, we have Edge sending Edge alone changing room. Edge will now become having a paladin, excuse me, not a paladin, but a ninja who has completed Mount Ordeals, which is a little bit less exciting. But he'll get a Legend Sword for his trouble, which is half an objective, so probably feels pretty good to be up here now.
Yeah, the D-Mist and half an objective is entirely reasonable for this trip. Plus, it makes any future Cecils be online, which is not a bad thing. CPU.
This is not a bad place for CPU. The hit points is low enough that I would actually be somewhat tempted to see if Ninja Flame can take care of business here.
Remedy 8.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Irene will show us our second boss, and it is D's Lunars. This is going to be a very good check. Irene, I know, is a newer runner, somebody new to the community. We love seeing that kind of thing. But the D Lunars can be a tricky fight if you don't know some of the better strategies for dealing with them, especially in a high hit point spot such as this one. Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, this is definitely a spot where getting around the D-Lunars can take something, can take some effort, but it's also a spot where, I think it's one of the better spots to have to deal with D-Lunars, all things considered, because they're, so exploitable, right? Like D-Lunars let you solve them even as kind of a difficult boss.
Yeah, and again, a lot of the fun of watching people run this kind of thing is being able to puzzle through the bosses, get through these tricky and difficult fights. Speaking of which, if you are interested in Free Enterprise as a runner, we have just the place for you to go look up. You should check out the Free Enterprise Discord. It's a fantastic place, not just to learn about the community and what we're doing, but actually to get yourself involved and learn how to play. So, if you've ever had any interest in Final Fantasy IV, if you like seeing what we're doing in Free Enterprise, if you want to kind of learn what we're doing, maybe even try running one of these yourself, please come by. We're one of the best communities on the internet. We'd love to see you.
Okay, yep. We saw some waiting. We saw some waiting around. We finally saw the Star Veil. So we are going for Lunar Frogs here, unsurprisingly.
And it works like a charm. For those of you who don't...
Gauntlet at Mist.
Oh, boy. Check go through your checks and be deliberate. That is an easy gauntlet. It's going to be a fast objective pickup, but it's real easy to overlook that one if you're not being careful. Yep.
No, that's great knowledge for Engadave. Engadave now knows, right, like all the 3 boss hunts are done. Like Engadave is conceptually, right, like has the option to face check on the table in the ways that the other 2 don't, and the other players don't yet.
Right. Well, and then you don't end up doing silly things like looking to see who the boss is behind package, or spending time walking down to sealed cave after you've plucked it out through the warp glitch. Yep.
So yeah, that knowledge is useful. Lunar Frogs is a classic glitch. The boss bit in this game works so that bosses can affect themselves, like the Maga Sisters casting Wall works, right? Breath carries the boss bit, but since you're reflecting it, and the reflect also carries the boss bit, the D-Lunars can be affected by it, and then they don't have any other immunities because they're like, oh, the boss bit, it's fine. So they breath themselves, and that's all you wrote, really.
Well, again, I think it's interesting, especially that the devs never considered that particular strategy, especially with the fact that you have the Magus Sister fight, which depends on that particular strategy for how the entire fight is to operate. Enjadave is through and completes the second objective on the list. Meanwhile, Irene is through the D-Lunars and has made his way into the Underground. We will be launching the Falcon shortly. But will we get
Underground, 26 minutes. That's a pretty darn good Underground hook route time.
Yes, it is. It's really great on a hook route. Yep, some form of guards or officer sitting on top of tower.
Package, Mom, what were you doing?
Well, this is an interesting thing. You can see the experience on Enjadave's side from which side you enter Mist from. If you're not careful, you come in from the left side and have to either reset back out or sit through the cutscene.
Right. In this case, since the cutscene's an objective, that's not as relevant, but as a matter of practice, you're always going to come in from the right.
But yeah, what that means though is anybody who wants to fade Ordeals present is going to be committing a grave mistake today, because Ordeals is going to be absolutely required to complete the seed.
Yep, 2 objectives going through Ordeals means that since 6 are required to get your crystal, you're going to have to do one of them. So yep, Ordeals is hard required this seed.
Well, Garen about done to cash his way through the Tower of Zot and collect his Rosa with exit.
Interesting. Enjadave reset out of Duke Rydia.
I think part of that was because Enjadave, if you looked where he parked on the left-hand side. He'd have to sit through the cutscene if he wanted to have that.
Right. It's more that that's an objective, right? So Enjadave is saving to sit through the cutscene in the hopes of doing the giant, right? Like that is,
interesting. And getting that double Rydia, yeah.
Yeah.
Newtree has elected to go up Mount Ordeal, so he should be getting the news in probably about 5 or 6 minutes if that's necessary. Meanwhile, Enjadave has figured it's time to go looting into Eblan Castle. I think Enjadave has kind of exhausted every option and realized that the hook route is going to be hard required, and so this is just a preparation in case it's going to be absolutely awful.
Yep. And again, we're like Kayn, Rydia, and Edge are the kind of the 3 characters with the best probability of hitting out of Eblan. Like I ran the numbers for Eblan Castle specifically, right? Like, so these are like, there's a good chance that we get something out of this that changes the game for those characters. The question, of course, is did you need it? Because this is already a very powerful party.
Well, let's have a peek at our bosses down in the Fey March. This is not quite Potion Party where they're required, but if there's something free or fun down here, we might see a take. Speaking of free Fey Marches, this is about as free as it gets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have
and I saw the king, I didn't see the queen.
Oh, it's the queen is a Bahamut.
Okay, yeah, for super free if you have the Star Veils. We only started with like 1 or 2.
Well, so. Usually the starting kits in this, I think I see 3, and I know that
there's 3,
2 of them. So you can theoretically get through that, and also hide Eddie to bring him through that. So I figure you put one on Rydia, hide Eddie, and just let it ride and call Leviathan enough to get that extra 4K you need, so that 2 Bahamuts take care of business.
Yeah.
Newtree making short work and almost through his ordeals, about to go into the changing room, and Enjadave coffining the Mad Ogres.
Yeah, that's quick kill. I haven't seen a significant amount of Mage Killer equipment, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Well,
Enjadave doesn't have to worry about whether Edge or Edward should have that adamant.
That's one of the best pickups that you could get for this party. This is a party that, wants that attack power, wants that speed, right? Every adamant armor essentially brings somebody over Edge in terms of speed, relative speed, right?
Yep. Irene has successfully navigated the King Queen Eblan fight, and we'll be seeing the reward very shortly. Probably the experience for the amount of time spent here is pretty good.
Saw second samurai bow, so both Sid and Rosa can do the bow thing.
Yep. Newtree takes care of that CPU without too much trouble, and we are about to find our Fey March reward in the near future. It's interesting. Irene's been underground for about 5 minutes now. No one has even started working their way down the hook route yet either.
No, I mean, I kind of...
Asuka, did you roll a seed where everybody's going to give us a Drain Spear? Because that's the second one we've seen tonight.
There always seems like there's one item that's been randomized, right? Like to be in like 4 places in the seed.
Yeah. So like, this is going to be your objective reward. Time to do the mirror room. 2 drain spears.
Yep, drain spears. Yep.
Yeah. There
Second
are worse things.
adamant out of Eblan. Oh, holy cow!
Well, maybe it's not drain. Maybe
Yeah,
it's not drain spears. Maybe it's adamant armor.
Wow, second adamant. Right, like again,
Really?
right, like each one of those just cranks you over. Right, like if you picked up the ninja shirt as well, right, like you have end game gear for 3/4 of, and we have the heroin robe. Like we have end game body slot for everybody.
Yeah.
At this point.
I mean, there's not a with those adamant armors. There's not a whole lot you're going to fear throughout the entire seed.
Nope.
There's not a lot can hit you that hard.
Yeah. That's so powerful.
Garen has become our 3rd runner to go up ordeals.
Good for all of them, because that's, as we said, ordeals is hard required because it has 1.5 objectives.
All right, Irene making his way out of the Fey March and going to Dwarf Castle. Meanwhile, we see Enjade making his way down the hook route. I really do not have many concerns for him with the triple adamant armor party. And we'll probably take a brief interlude here to see what's being shopped for, seeing as I think that most of the other runners who are not Irene are treading around that someone else has been on before.
Yeah, one small note, that the Dragoon Spear was the last thing out. Dragoon Spear is going to teach this hook route what for, because both of the bosses at the top are dragons.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Irene spots sorcerer robes and arrows, but elects to take neither of them, and is probably headed for bosses right now.
I kind of would have wanted to pick up the mute arrows to go with my samurais. Again, we have so much power, it's probably not necessary, but having some mage killer gear can still speed you up.
Well,
we still got a couple of mages out.
Honestly, Asura in a high enough hit point space becomes very obnoxious quickly, especially because I don't think I've seen any of our runners spot Starveils in a shop yet.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well,
Albrina.
Yeah, okay. I wonder, is this even randomized?
A lot of the components seem randomized, but this one is not. And we know Rydia can't be here. That's good. There's only one dupe, and we've already seen it. Noob Tree getting the Rydia. Noob Tree is going to this. The only reason to do this is either because you think the boss might be here. It's not. And Noob Tree would know that if they'd checked. If
he take a look inside Mist Cave, but hasn't been there yet, and which is interesting with Mist Cave being in such proximity to Village Mist. Yep,
but another thing. Okay, it was a boss check.
It was solely a boss check.
Interesting. Palom is our joiner, and we're interested in getting rid of Sid for Palom. That's
honestly the best thing we've seen for Sid is that samurai arrow, and with the speed in this party, particularly Sid. Irene hasn't found quite so many adamant armors, but the fact is that we have Edge and Edward playing slow characters, and Kane in this party. Slow characters are not going to have a good time here.
Yeah.
Noob Tree does check over into Cave Mist and discovers that there is a alt gauntlet waiting for him. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Enjade about to find the good news that he actually does have the right gear to fight these bosses.
Oh yeah, this should be an exercise in having Kane jump, because that won't trigger the virus scripts on the D-Lunars, and putting them in the dirt that way being one of the options.
Irene does not struggle with the dolls, and we'll see who our second boss and our character is. We're starting to get down there in character checks. We've seen a good number of them, and Cecil and Fusoya both are still outstanding.
Yeah, it was Palom was our character.
You're right, we did. That's the...
and Leviathan was it slot 2. And also, we have Warp, of course, so...
Well, so for characters missing, haven't seen Cecil, haven't seen Fu, haven't seen Porum. Is there anybody else that's hanging around out there for us to pick up? I think that's it. One on the moon, one behind the Sand Giant.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's the scenario we're in.
And Irene discovers the pass, which is, doesn't count as a key item, but it's always nice to have.
Yep. Not sad to have a pass. Let's see. Not a key item out of the first part though, so Dwarf Castle a bit of a bust, but I mean the pass is going to save you 5 minutes. So
well, we're starting to get down there on locations where Darkness Crystal can be. There's 2K main checks in going up to see what Sheila's holding, and of course there's that keyless tower hanging around.
Yep. I mean, odds on for me at this point is that it's the top of keyless tower. But
I will go ahead and take exception with you, and I will lay down my hard-looted gill on it being at Shield 1.
Okay. They're roughly even odds checks, so I think they think that that's better for them if it is.
Well, and if I happen to lose this bet, I will go ahead and the next time I am looting, I'll pull a chest of watery pass and dedicate the proceeds to you.
How nice.
That's the kind of generous commentator I am, sir.
No, I'll match that. Sure.
Speaking of our team, though, I will say all 4 of our runners, by the way, their names you see on here, I believe, are their Twitch names. They are worth a follow on your time. I've hung out in all of their channels. They're great people. Need to watch them run, see what they do when they're not quite under tournament pressure, and they have mics, they'll talk to you, and they're a lot of fun. So we'd highly encourage you to give them a follow and a like. I'm sure they'd all appreciate it, and again, grows the community and the friendships.
I love the concept of they have mics and will probably talk to you. You're not wrong. I just it tickles me. God,
if you say certain things to them that are obnoxious, you may get ignored. I tend to run into that problem sometimes.
And Gadave remembers to check the boss top of tower. Again, we actually know it's a free boss. So.
But then again, Nutria likes hassling me in his channel because he and I, it's interesting. If there are new runners out there, by the way, please come and play with us. Nutria I actually bumped into during Blue Moon when he was a new runner, and he ambushed me completely, and I took a loss that I was not expecting. But he had been working really hard and played really, really well. I wasn't happy about it at the time, but and of course Irene and for that matter Bang and Gong, who's our tractor tonight, are both fairly new players as well. And like I said, new people in the randomizer practicing and learning and got very, very good very, very quickly. And Garen and Jadave have been around a little bit longer, but like
this is a randomizer. Anybody can win on any given day. Just have the breaks just have to go their way.
Well, there's lots of good things to learn and a lot of fun to be had. Irene, well, so back in the action.
Bacchus. We got Bacchus wines.
Yes, we have Bacchus wines, and that's fun times for Eddie. Irene has made his way back down to the Fey March. I think he picked up a couple more Star Veils and is feeling more confident about fighting this Bahamut. Engadave is going to go ahead and take himself through the Dwarf Castle and discover the pass, which I think there's been some speculation in chat that Engadave is planning a special maneuver for the end of the seed where he will kind of wombo combo his way through burning the package with mist and then dropping the pass to go to the end boss, and getting this pass is going to pay handsomely for doing such a thing. Nutri about to discover his second boss and see how he'll fare against the D-Lunars, and Garen is not aware of it, but he's about to go farm Adamant Armor.
Yep. Adamant Armors and possibly a Dragoon Spear. Easy peasy. All right, Mega Nuke reflected again on bottom mute. That fight should be done.
And is there value for this spot? Only a life staff.
Yeah, that's not
the
great.
Fey March is not the play today.
Yep. Irene just even isn't interested in exiting there.
Well, Engadave decides to gamble with a Grimoire and actually doesn't get a whole lot of help here. So we'll see if the agility is going to carry him through it before a big doll appears.
All right, Firebomb cleanup.
No.
Still not enough.
A second
Firebomb. Yeah, second Firebomb? Wow. Okay, yeah, you got him. You got him.
That's a bit nerve-wracking, particularly with the amount of time of walking and purchasing that was done inside Dwarf Castle that would have to be redone should you have problems in the fight.
Yep.
Nutri is going to gamble a little bit with how he's going to do this D-Lunar fight. Not quite as safe as you... Oh, I see some Star Veils coming up now, so...
Yep, all 3 Star Veils. The breath attack isn't kind of guaranteed to hit both of them. So the way it generally works is that we reflect on multiple people and hope that it checks out. Rydia surviving at 1 from the flames.
That's very nice. I will say for those of you that are taking notes, if you get into a D-Lunar situation where only one of them hits, make sure you hit the Lunar who did not turn into a frog. He will then cast on his buddy and frog him rather than wall himself up.
Yep, that's the trick. That, like, when they're doing the reflect stuff, they're actually doing it on each other, not themselves. Even though they could do it on themselves.
Don't ask me how I learned that particular lesson.
No, it's a very narrow. I mean, sometimes you don't only get to reflect onto one, right? So it's good to know that you can get a little extra damage out of the other one, like so. Oh no, we got 2 casts this time.
Irene says that it is not Darkness Crystal, and I do not owe anything to my esteemed commentator Mecha.
All right, Tower Key though. That pushes us towards Tower.
Well, if it's inside Super Cannon Room, I technically can Welsh out of the bet.
Yep. But yeah, again, right, like as you said, like we're just running out of checks. So
well, Irene still has some overworld work. In fact, it looks like he may be headed up to do. No, he goes right by that ordeal. Sadly, that's one of I think the stories of this race that's developing is there's no Cecil apparent. How long does Irene want to fade that Mount Ordeals? Yep.
I mean, Irene's definitely making great use of that time, right? Like Irene is like the farthest into the seed of anybody.
But there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff back behind him that needs to be picked up. That is going to be required because you want to do that. I'll call it. You're going to want to do that ordeals. Those are objectives that in your pocket.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely stuff to do. That's on the overworld still. And we're seeing alert checks.
Yeah, this is I think an attempt to steal sirens and just get some levels on the party.
Yep. We haven't seen viable sirens. We've checked 4 of the 5 gated shops. It makes sense to steal sirens to some degree.
Noob Tree becomes our 3rd runner to complete the D-Lunar fight and is making his way down to the Falcon, so he'll be underground momentarily. Meanwhile, we see Engine Dave setting up to be healed and probably take those bosses down in the Fey March.
And Garen gets the Dragoon Spear, right? Like, so it has done the full loot of Eblan Castle and has an immense amount of power that will make the dive easy as it was for Noob Tree.
And I can see Garen dumped his adamant armor on that cane, so he's going to have quite the overpowered fight here. However, Garen...
Reasonable hit on Irene's side. Bahamut out of the first trap chest in the tower. That's an upgrade for Rydia.
Yes, it is. Do you keep looking? I mean, what else are you digging around for?
I'm definitely not digging anymore myself, but I mean, that's a nice hit. Like, especially if I did Eblan Castle, like, I can't even imagine. I don't think Irene did though, but like I said earlier, like I would have we have all the tools we need. They're tools we'd like, but we have all the tools we need.
Well, so silly question then. You have multiple. If you have at least one adamant armor, maybe multiples, and you find yourself a Darkness Crystal, do you just hop onto the Giant and get a boatload of experience from those 2 bosses? I mean, the only really, really scary thing is, I would say Dark Knight Cecil, but we've actually seen him elsewhere. So maybe an Ogo Pogo up there would be awful. I can't think of a whole lot else that an adamant character is not going to really just be able to cruise through, especially with the levels they'll probably have by the time it comes up.
So, Irene is lacking the White Mage, right? Like, that's the thing that gives me pause, right? Like, the White Mage closes off some of your options in those fights.
Well, and not only that, you want that White Mage to have the levels for his aroma. It's kind of iffy to go out and try and get a big experience while that's going on.
I would definitely check the Dais first for that character.
Well, and that's the other thing that I'm kind of wondering about is, what if we get that darkness and Irene goes up to that to check the altar in at Cecil?
Right.
I mean, that's a big deal for Irene to get, especially if some of the other runners. His 3 adamant armors go straight onto the Giant. And same thing for Garen, for that matter.
It also sends Irene back to Ordeals, right? We know that that's a required place to go. DKC
won't be there, Judge Joe, because we saw him as boss in Baron Castle.
He was the one that gave us the item. Yep.
But we love you, Judge Joe, out there.
Yep. And that was like 46 minutes ago. All right. Baron guards, they're mages. They try to disable whatever you used on them, and they are weak to coffins because they are just monsters. So, yep. Easy peasy.
Yep. Well, I think our Darkness Crystal has to be either here or through the Super Cannon room.
Yeah, it's through one of these two, right? We've still got, Twin Harp. We still got Baron. We still got a number of chaining possibilities. We still got Pan. We still have Rat Tail, right? So we have plenty of chaining options, but yes, it's got to be through one of these two at this point. We know better. It's not the top of the tower. Magma Key. All right, I was a wrong gating item.
Well, I'm excited to see the Magma Key because it means that we can get underground now.
Yep, it does mean that. And like the Magma Key wasn't on the moon.
But I think that whatever's going to come out of here for Super Cannon is either going to be darkness or some sort of chain that's going to lead us to darkness.
Yep, it basically has to be at this point based on our knowledge. I don't like Irene doesn't have the same knowledge, but we know that's how it's going to come down. Because Irene has not done every check available to him.
Well, in the meantime, Nutri finishing up at Dwarf Castle. Meanwhile, and Enjadave has finished up his work in the Fey March and is now headed up the Tower of Power as well to do Keyless Tower. We see Garen is about to make the last of the fights, I believe, on the Hook route.
Yep.
And here's our moment of truth from Irene. What is our Super Cannon item today?
And that's, like you said, so this was through Sheila 1, right? So if this is like Pan, for example, it invites the possibility of not doing it till you have Pan would be a bad idea. It is darkness directly. All right. Power key. Super Cannon room had the darkness crystal for us. And now, Irene is continuing this very aggressive forward-looking play and headed to the moon.
Well, there's a character up there, and there's no white mage in Irene's party. It's kind of a no-brainer to go do this. And frankly, Irene could pick up a lot of time on the back end of this seed if he comes back down with real ultimate power. Yeah.
I think that this party could tear through ordeals nearly instantly already, but you're right that some of the bigger checks might be gotten a little faster.
Well, again, it adds up. That demist fight could take Irene a total of 2, well, maybe even 1 swing if Spoonworth's really going.
Yep. Hourglasses there. They have Star Veils. Star Veils in the southern town whose name I always forget.
The Star Veils are down in Tomra.
Tomra, yes. For some reason, I always forget Tomra's name.
That's okay. There are a lot of people who forget it's even there. It's the Forgotten Dwarf Colony.
Yep. It's where you can go to become a farmer or something else in certain seeds.
It is truly the Albuquerque of Free Enterprise.
Albuquerque.
Where the sun is always shining and the air smells warm root beer. Anyway, back onto the moon. We're going to get a quick peek in the lunar shop to see if there's any great tier 5 items for sale that we have missed. And I don't think we've seen hourglasses yet, have we?
No, hourglasses were also in Albuquerque. Sirens, though. Sirens are ahead.
And camping gear. That's always a good feeling when you're going to the moons because there's not a whole lot of healing options when you get down to the bottom.
No, picking up a stack of tents is going to be sufficient for getting MP back in your characters.
Well, Enjadave is content to walk out got his gains from inside the tower and is going to go to Sheila 1, and I suspect we'll see the tower again very, very soon.
Yep. Right. Noob Trees headed to King and Queen. While we wait for the dais.
Yep, Noob Tree is here with low hit points.
It is Cecil.
It is Cecil, and it's Dark Knight Cecil because Irene has not been there.
Decisions need to be made. This is where we don't have a holy sword for him yet, right? Are we willing?
And we're going to toss him because we don't want to take the time and go all the way back down.
We don't want to go back down, and we don't have a holy sword for him, right? Like that's, or like that. That totally makes sense, right? If we had hit a crystal or an Excalibur, where like the calculus is But right now, the best weapon he has is a samurai bow.
Well, Irene's in favor of doing top down, and as he does that, Garen exits the hook route.
Yep. So Garen, in contrast, has thoroughly taken care of the overworld.
Well, I think we've seen just about all of what's available on the blue planet, so the new action is going to be on Irene's side. Meanwhile, we'll watch Enjadave. I think Enjadave's going to follow this quest down because he doesn't have anything else left to do to get his Darkness Crystal. Noob Tree finishing in the first Fame March boss. I think he still has to do that Bahamut, and I did not see if Noob Tree went and got himself some Star Veils.
Here's Angry Grenadine. We've got Hourglasses, and we have a Siren or 3. Enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to get that party jump started for Irene pretty well. I think there's only 8 key items in his possession right now, though, so he's not doing stuff though that comes at 10 key items.
Yeah, I see 7 because pass doesn't count, and yeah, that's just 10.
You're right, that is 7. For some reason, I thought the Sand Ruby was lit up. It is not. We do not know who that is, but well, we know the Sand Ruby must be either Fusoya or Porum. I don't think anybody's peeked it yet, though.
No, nobody's peeked it. The only person who's even entered Hypo is the one who went and checked and checked the boss. A Noob Tree, I think. Mm-hmm. Right, was the one that kind of did it out of order.
Yeah, and I don't think we didn't take the time to go over and see what was in Sand Ruby either.
No, it was Engadave that did it out of order. Noob Tree did it. The Noob Trees has the 7 because they did it.
Yeah, because he sat through he reset out of the boss fight. Noob Tree going to take a little bit of time with this Bahamut, but Edward is doing good work for him. And in the meantime, I did not see who the boss was at the bottom here, but Irene is electing not to fight them. Again, Irene is still making his way out.
It makes sense to save after a grind of any sort. But save and possibly restore. But Irene is actually going back to the blue planet, which interesting because of the Ditch of Cecil.
Well, the Tower of Wish is available. Irene could be having second thoughts.
Yeah.
But we'll find out where, as soon as Irene steps off the Lunar Will, where he decides to go. Enjadave is through his Super Cannon room in the third of our Magnificent Sparkles. And meanwhile, Noob Tree wraps up in the Fey March and realizes that either Sheila or Tower must have the power.
Irene's going to do easy fights, goes to ordeals, which we know is a payoff.
Well, it needs to happen. There are too many valuable things, and I think Irene is the last of our checking. But again, we'll see how much faster it may be for him here. Yeah. Unfortunately, the payout in the back attack fight's not going to be much, seeing as you still must sit through that cutscene with the Water Hag, regardless of how much damage you hit it for.
Yeah, and CPU similarly, 3 swings is the kill speed. With Adamant Edge, right? You just don't have much room to speed this up except for the demist, right? Right. So yeah, it's just not much time to gain for having high levels here. That said, it still needs to be done. So.
Well, a big virus I think coming here from Rydia, which 2 swings and demist is gone. So that's where the time savings is going to be. Well, Noob Tree is also going to go look in the alert boxes, and I think this was the one that yielded the Bahamut, was it not?
That was the Bahamut chest, yes. So that is the thing.
Well, and Noob Tree is going to steal himself some sirens because 5-figure discount.
Yeah. They don't know that sirens are on the moon. There's roughly a 90% chance that sirens are in shops on this flag set. So there's always that 10%er. And a lot of people prefer eggs no matter what to any of the moon grinds. Mm-hmm. And for that, right, you want sirens, right? So
I believe the other interesting thing, we have not seen ninja swords for sale, have we?
No.
But we still have a gated weapon shop that has not opened yet, so they are still potentially there. But at this point, you're not really relying on Edge for power in this party anymore.
Right. I mean, you want him to have the ability to be effective at Zeromus, but that's all you need to do is buy a stack of Drain Spears or something, and you can make that happen.
If you don't take that Cecil, a stack of Excals is not a bad thing either.
True, but we haven't seen a stack of Excals.
And of course, maybe Kokol's Forge will be handing us the scrap metal for Edge to.
Yep. Always a fun one.
Well, we have our second runner to the moon with Enjadave, who has gotten his darkness crystal, has emptied all of his possibilities on the blue planet, and will now be faced with the choice of picking up Cecil. I don't know. That Dragoon Spear is not a bad thing to have on Kane, but a couple of our Dragon Ball pool.
Yeah, Dragon Balls are out of the pool, but the King Ryus as well as the eggs are like killed by Dragoon pretty effectively. So it's usually you want to keep that around. But Engadave has a different calculus here because Cecil's already unlocked.
Well, yeah, and while we don't have the big gear for him, the best place to find it is up here. That being said, Enjadave is perfectly happy with his party, and we can wave bye-bye to Cecil. How often do you see that?
Yeah, I mean it's late enough to say, like, we're powerful enough, and it's late enough that you can say that. I think that if people had crystal swords in their inventory, that it wouldn't be much of a question, because even level 1 Cecil with a crystal sword plays, but.
Well, having recently looked at the loot table for the non-key item payouts for the spots, especially the base of the moon stuff, the odds of getting a tier 8 item are pretty good. And maybe then again, the way this seed is rolled, maybe if we get tier 8, we'll get that 4th adamant armor.
Yeah, I mean, this is wildish, which means that there is scaling involved, and there is waiting, and these moon rewards are. I think the only thing weighted heavier are moon trap chests.
Yeah. So we'll see. But Enjadave has elected for bottom up on the moon. I personally like that play a lot. That's concentrating as many checks as possible. And with the fact that we still have 3.5 objectives left to do, left to find, this is probably your best option to find something as fast as possible.
Completely agree.
Noob Tree completing work on Keyless Tower and is going to follow a very similar path that Enjadave did to go visit Sheila and then revisit the tower later on.
Yep. Irene completing things.
Irene, I think, has decided that Cecil's actually worth taking.
Yep. This is the Tower of Wishes. There's flags that turn off the ability to recover characters, but we do not have see buy on, and that means that we're ditching Kane for whoever.
Yeah, for Cecil.
Wow.
I mean, we can sit and joke, but that's who we want. And Cecil will catch up in levels, of course. When you have a
light sword, which is not terrible.
And I believe that light sword came out of the treasury.
Yes, it did. That's very true. That light sword was from the treasury. Officer Soldier, free bosses on the moon.
Yep, and lots of experience if you life glitch up here too, seeing as the officer carries the lion's share of experience group.
Yep.
So you are going to see some nice jump in experience for Enjadave's spot. I believe that it's going to be about 200,000 experience. That is 1/5 of what Rydia needs to put her to nuke. So
double life on it too. Very nicely done.
Wow. So yeah, the 200K is before any sort of glitching.
Yeah. So very, very nicely done by Enjadave. I think it's
380,000. Wow.
Enjadave has the 10 key items. Wow. Yeah, that is enormous.
Yeah, this is enough power for this party to carry the rest of the seed.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty normal for like a Zeromus party.
That is a objective and a half in there. That is the other half of Forge.
Wow.
That is one of the most valuable ribbon rooms I have ever seen.
That is massive. That is possibly worth exiting out for. I might have left a save here just in case, but wow.
Why would you leave a save? You're in go mode. That is 6 objectives.
Wait.
Giant's the last one.
Giant, yeah. If you want to commit to Giant, do Giant and then roll over the rest of them.
I mean, you could hunt through the rest of the checks out there, and there's a good number of them, or you can go win the seed right fricking now.
No, I agree. No, that's right. You're right. There's no reason. If I were playing, I would have noticed that.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. There's like you could check to so the thing you'd be checking for is you want to hit Rat Tail in your next 2 checks, or else like you should have just done the Giant.
Yeah.
Like so.
Yeah, and that's the gamble, is because frankly, not only do you have your remaining 5 checks on the moon, But then you've also got whatever's behind Baron Key, whatever ends up being behind your harp, which you're not checking right away, whatever's going to be behind the, I think it's just those, the pan, the self-check and pan. So there's a lot of places that could just waste your time.
Yep. So no, I think that Giant is the right play, is the numbers play, I could say. It's certainly the play I'd prefer, but...
Bottom up pays off big for Enjadave, and he is in go mode and on his way. We do have some work to do to get finished up, but Enjadave in the driver's seat right now.
Also, Enjadave is going to be stacking another 500,000 experience here, barring a boss that steals the experience, and that's, like, Rydia is going to have nuke.
Well, like I said, if you look at it, his Rydia is level 2 right now, which I think puts her maybe 400,000 away from being finished. Yeah,
so that's what I was saying, is that she's going to have nuke. Right, like after the 500,000 we're going to get here. All right, who's at Just Rubicon on? This kind of sucks.
It's a French vanilla kind of feel. Well, it's not really French vanilla. This is normally the Elements fight, and
unfortunately, the Adamants are going to solve this fight.
Yeah, I mean, the Adamants have fire resist on them. The real fun combo here is if you happen to have a curse ring to pair with it, you can actually let Rubicon heal you every time you cast, seeing as the curse ring changes all of your resists into orbs, so all the fire magic it throws into heals you.
Yeah, that was a good one, though. The hitting Rosa for single digits out of... It's just like, we're just, like, only Edge is taking any damage in the fire twos. Like, we don't even need to keep Edge alive. Yeah, right? It's the physical hits that are going to kill you here.
Yeah, well, and some of these characters are backloaded with an adamant armor on. It's kind of it's a little silly here. Noob Tree is probably about 45 seconds, requiring his Darkness Crystal. We see Garen heading up the tower as well, and an Elements fight over on Irene's side.
Right.
So Irene has actually acquired a white mage, which was one of the big lackings in his party. It's going to be interesting to see Garen and Irene, because I think that they're going to both be Well, I say they're going to converge on the Darkness Crystal. I think Irene is going to be popping out of Zot right about the time Garen is going to be getting his Darkness Crystal in. No, he's not. Garen has to still do the pan turn, and I think to get to do the tower key business.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a lead for Irene here.
Yep. I agree, and obviously, pseudo obviously, right, Enjadave is in go mode, and that inherently means that Enjadave has a slight lead over Noob Tree, right?
Yep, and Noob Tree I think is going to need some help to catch back up here, just because Enjadave is kind of, 3 adamant armors is a pretty good insurance policy.
Irene is easily through that Elements.
Yeah, with the song off the Gold Dragons, Irene's got to be feeling pretty good as far as power goes, and I'm very curious to see what Irene's going to do to try and equip that Cecil. We actually haven't seen a big holy sword for him, unless you count that light sword, and you know that we don't.
I certainly don't. It's a good question. Just gonna kill moon bosses. We know that killing moon bosses, and if you go bottom up, isn't actually going to get you a crystal sword, because it's going to get you a go mode instead.
But Irene is going to take the time to turn in that package.
The demist, which gives the package, right? Which is good, because the real question is Irene going to check the Mist Cave finally, right? Because not doing Fabul Gauntlet means that Irene wouldn't be in go mode after finishing the Ribbon Room. Right,
and has to hunt for that rat tail, which definitely puts Garen back in, and it covers up any sort of... I would say Garen is probably about 3 to 4 minutes away from having a Darkness Crystal.
Yep. That sounds about right.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, the Enjadave has taken out the Rubicant. Rubicant will not advertise his return this time, and we have Noob Tree headed to the moon.
Yeah, the Rubicant does have a script that he yields when he's down at very low HP. At high HP spots, that it's a percentage base, so you can run into that script, and it's like 4 text boxes. Kind of sucks.
Well, I did see Enjadave collect white on Rosa, and Rydia is now from.
Yeah. Yep. No, that makes sense. Rosa's going to hit white before Rydia hits nuke. No save. No fear.
No fear at all. And Ogo Pogo, which is not fun, but not going to be a problem at these levels.
Yeah. Ogo Pogo should be fine. We didn't enter Edge is gonna nearly die. Everybody else will survive.
Well, look, I'm going to say what we're all thinking. Ogo Pogo deserves to have exactly what's about to happen to it.
Yeah, I mean, the punches here are going to be hard, right? But this party is so powerful, and adamant armors are so powerful.
Well, not that I think Noob Tree knows it, but based on process of elimination, we know for sure who is in this last spot. That is going to be Plague sitting in the Cave Bahamut. Check.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, that's a fast spot. So that's actually kind of an annoying Plague, but
honestly, Noob Tree really needs that Plague to be holding the rat tail.
Irene does check Mist Cave, which is, you know, what needed to happen for Irene to be able to follow kind of the quick route to go mode.
Yep. Edge Dave through the Giant, and we will find out if it is Porum or Fusoya hanging out here.
Yeah. You're not taking Porum. You might take Fusoya.
Oh, we had forgotten the old man. Tella is still here.
Oh, right. Tella.
What's the character? Oh, the Baron Castle character is the one we forgot.
Baron Castle. Yep. No, thank you, Tella. I think that it is reasonably low likelihood we're going to take Tella here. I can't see what he would add.
I think it's also a reasonably low likelihood that we're going to see the last two characters.
Yep. Also true. There's that tower key. Garen is fighting the inventory boss, which is one of the bigger time sinks in the game. Goodbye, Tella. We don't want your change rod. We want to do the package and do the twin harp and.
Well, I suspect we're going to see a forge here.
Yeah, forge would be good here. There's the last thing you have to do underground ever.
All right, well, this is probably our next to last major prognostication. What will be the forge item? There are several different weapons that can come out for forge here.
The one that casts image. I'm going to go with the one that casts image.
I've already called my scrap metal.
All right. I would love to see a scrap metal. I've actually don't think I've ever gotten one or seen one. So I certainly like to see a scrap metal.
No, as a runner, you don't like to see the scrap metal.
No, you don't.
you throw your hands up in frustration and curse at Kokol, and then you rob his bookshelf a second time. Anyways.
He has there are 3 chests in this area, not just the bookshelf, but the side one and the pots out back.
Crystal rings and apples.
Crystal rings. Crystal rings I'm pretty happy with.
The sunrise boomerang.
Ooh. I don't actually know what that does.
You throw it at things and they go boom.
Yeah, no, that part I get.
But you said you didn't know what it did.
Well, I don't know what it does specifically. Like, what are its stat mods? Just cast anything. Like, those are the things that matter for the Final Fantasy IV advanced weapons, which we've put in specifically to make Kokol a little more than just a holy sword outlet.
Yes, for those who may not be familiar with this randomizer, Kokol will normally forge for Excalibur. But to spice it up, particularly when we do see hero seeds, we link in special items for all the heroes for Final Fantasy Advance, and with Sea Hero tied into the hero of the seed. So there are several edge weapons. There's a sword called, I think, the Matsumo, I think is it? Mm-hmm. And then also a scrap metal throwing weapon, which is absolutely awful for him, which does next to no damage and makes you feel ashamed of your life.
Yep.
I'm not bitter.
And, you know, it's essentially all of the, like I said, the Final Fantasy IV advanced weaponry. So Cecil has the option of something even more broken than the Crystal Sword somehow. Right. You have the Gigant Axe in there when Cid's in the mix.
Oh,
right?
Gigant Axe is fun with, especially for Cid, because you can hand it off to other people.
Oh no, Gigant Axe is fantastic. It's a Crystal Sword for any of the 3 brawlers. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, you can do a lot. Actually, my favorite trick with Gigant Axe is to put it on Cecil, let him Avenger glitch, and let someone else use the axe.
That's a good one. Glass Mask at Bahamut. That's unfortunate for Noob Tree.
Sadly, no value for Noob Tree doing top down rather. We see Irene selected for bottom up, so that assuming he goes right and heads for the ribbon room, he is probably going to be a very happy camper.
And Garen has the Darkness Crystal. We are likely headed to the moon.
Yeah, I think Asuka had somewhere to be tonight. This was this is not going to be terribly cool in how it's laid out.
And yep, Twin Harp is last, and then we'll come right back to Pat.
Well, we have music imminent with the Black Chocobo, again, because it's a randomizer.
I mean, the Black Chocobo's music's pretty good.
Oh, I love Black Chocobo's music.
But yes, also there's a randomized song because the Song of Love isn't that good. Yeah, that's right. I said it. We randomize it instead. We randomize it out instead here.
Well, you watch us get some sort of remix version of the Song of Love. Now previewed it like that.
If that happens, I'll take my lumps. I didn't. There are hundreds of songs in the mix here.
Yep. So we'll see kind of what kind of music has been game for the evening. Meanwhile, it looks like we have Garen making our last of our runners make our way to the moon, while Irene stops to grind with some gold dragons.
Yep. You know, the Dragoon Spear's off the table, but it really doesn't matter. Our power is just way too high.
Well,
blank, charm, cure 3. Right, we had to bring Rosa up, right? Yep. So we're slingshotting Rosa here. Yeah, cure 4 all the way to level 38 for Rosa there.
Okay, well, we will see what music awaits us, and we also get one bonus, Garen, to look and see what is in the hairdryer chest, which can sometimes pop out some interesting loot. All right, we can no longer wait, and the music will come. So I believe Mecha and I are going to take a break from comms and let you all listen. Hope it's a good one. And we have a successful fight against Valvalis. I did not quite recognize that tune, but I believe I've heard it before.
Yeah, it's the Lufia 2, the primary boss theme.
Very cool. Well, a Baron Key, which will go unchecked, but more importantly for Enjadade, a Crystal, which unlocks the ability to do damage to and eventually defeat Zeromus. Meanwhile, we can see Newtree has discovered the Ribbon Room Easy Fight and is going to be getting Go Mode shortly, and it looks like Irene is very close to making that check as well.
Yeah. This is of the spots down here, this is the most key items for the effort and experience, right? Like if you kind of balance the triad of everything, right? Like this Ribbon Room is kind of just like the best first hit. So it makes a lot of sense that we're seeing people hit that first. And the fact that it pays out is just, it's gravy on top of that. You would expect to see people do this one first anyway. Especially if you had 10 key items.
Ninja Dave throws caution to the wind. He is going to put a ninja shirt on Edge. I think actually that's probably to push Edge exactly to 42 agility, which is going to put Z at relative agility 3 and properly set up the fight. I can also see that Rydia's level 50, which means she knows Nuke. Newtree's Rydia, I also noticed, learned Nuke just a second ago after completing the Ribbon Room, and I bet Irene, who's doing the Ribbon Room now, is going to be having Nuke in hand pretty soon too.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. Like the breakpoints are, under 14 or under, and then, the next 14, 28, and the next 14, 42, and then 6, and then 69.
I should probably mention here, we are going to go fight Zeromus, but it may not actually be randomize him with the other bosses because of the depth of his script and the other problems he causes, but we have to randomize him in some way. So we give him a random sprite from a pool that's now over 600, and we are going to find out momentarily which one was put into the seed. So the question I ask our audience and my esteemed co-commentator is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
I have one sprite in the pool that's mine. I'm always hoping for that. I have yet to see it. But we'll see. There's so many sprites. Could be one of the multiples. There's one sprite that's in there twice, like the exact same sprite. There's multiple Sephiroths. There's multiple, various other things.
Oh, you wouldn't believe how much Live Alive Skull stick in here. But
really.
Yes, I did a race where I think it was for a live event, and I think several of them made it in the pool as part of that event.
Oh, cool. I must have missed that. Yeah.
New Tree getting through the Rubicon spot and making his way, but we are going to see New Tree actually resets out for some reason. Oh, he's just seeing it. It is a cup of noodles.
Ah, cup noodle. That's you know how it goes, right? You're playing your Final Fantasy 15, and then Zeromus shows up in a cup of noodles.
Hey, there's nothing like a dinner on a budget.
This is probably because there's a FF15 cup noodles promotion thing going on. Also, Coleman camping gear.
Well, we shall see. That Zeromus making a little bit of speed here, but that Silkweb will change this fight quite a bit.
Yeah, we saw Silkweb out of the chest checks earlier, where I had noted it in my mind.
You got to feel for Zeromus. That plan of his just backfired.
Get wrecked. Oh. Yeah.
Noodlemas may not be long for the world, folks.
I don't think Noodles is long for the world. This is a berserk party that's more than capable of dishing out the requisite damage. 3,000 out of Edge. Right, we're going to see 2,000 at least out of Kane. We're seeing another 3,000 out of Eddie. Right, this is just not going to last very long. And we've got Nuke and White on the girls.
Yeah, if you want to build a party for a Cakewalk Zeromus fight and you don't have Cecil, this is about as good as it gets. All the fast characters built up, the big magic ready to go. It doesn't get a lot better than this. This has got to be feeling pretty good.
And then the 3 adamant armors to kind of guarantee that you're just overstated in the extreme.
Yep. Well, Irene and New Tree both going to be fighting that Rubicon simultaneously, while Edgy David take care of business here.
Yep.
I believe that passes us through Zeromus' refill. We're roughly halfway through the fight. I am starting to wonder if we're even going to see it rocks at the end of it. This is not a fair fight.
It's going to depend. If we finish it with Nuke and White, I think we miss rocks. If it's meleeers, then there's a better chance we don't.
Well, it's a randomizer. Letting fate decide is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it kind of is letting fate decide because it's all up to how the agility, how the agility meters fall down at this point. We're holding off on White.
Well, it looks like White's a better way to cook that cup of noodles than Nuke was. I think Rosa threw quad 9s.
Yeah, Zeromus is more vulnerable to holy things. White Spear. That's the shake. Okay, that's Big Bang incoming.
No, yeah,
assuming we don't outdamage it. Yeah, assuming we don't outdamage it.
Edgy Dave playing it safe just to be sure, but we're done here.
Yep,
as is tradition, Eddie falls down.
Good.
That's okay. You did good work this seed, Eddie.
He did. He did great. He did as good as an Eddie can do.
And with that crack in the boom, we have the signal that Engie Dave has completed the seed. We'll get you an official time shortly, but it looks like it's going to be under an hour and 20 minutes. So GG's to Engie Dave. Big victory for him, and of course also a big victory for the Bold Strategy team, who is getting one step closer to that playoff.
Yeah, looks like the final time's 1:19:51.
So GG's to Engie Dave, who is now in the... Guess for Engie Dave.
Thank you, everyone. That was a fun seed. It's a lot of zoom the whole way through.
Well, so I gotta ask you, how do you feel about adamant armor these days?
Okay, I was not trying to get 2 more adamant armors. I wanted a weapon.
Yeah.
Well, you'll take adamant armor and you'll like it.
I won't. I'm not upset about it. It's just that's why I kept searching. I was digging because I was rocking like full moon middle.
Yeah.
And Kane had nothing.
Yeah, Kane had nothing. Yeah. Nope. I mean, that makes sense. Like you Bahamut or a weapon for one of the boys, and just nothing showed up on the. And it was Dragoon Spear.
Yeah, the Dragoon Spear was fine.
Yeah, the Dragoon Spear was enough, especially given that that's what was on the the hook route.
Yeah, and this was one of those where fortune just favored the runner because we had the dragons on the hook route, we had the 2 great chests that gave adamant armor in Eblan, and how about those 2 chests in the ribbon room?
Yeah, that. Yeah. I was looking for multiple KMs yet, so you just go straight to the bottom. That's where they all are, and they just have to be exactly what I needed in the first check, and yeah, big man gone.
Yeah,
well,
I mean.
So tell us about one of the strategic things that we think we saw you do in this seed. You got the demist on ordeals. You went to check. You found the package. You looked at who the character was, and then reset out of even sitting through that package cutscene, knowing it was an objective. What was your strategy there?
You want the truth?
Sure.
I forgot it was an objective.
Okay. That's what checks out. That's what my first thought was when you did it. But it's entirely possible that you could have been like, I want to be able to check Sand Ruby later without getting got.
Right? I mean, we had also all assumed that you had some master plan for this incredibly efficient flow from package check into harp into the pass.
I'll be honest, I didn't, but.
Nope, I just straight up forgot about it, and then I was like going down the look, like, wait a second, I should have sat through that. And I got to go back to Blue Planet at some point anyway. That's fine.
Fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. Like, it didn't hurt particularly bad. So.
Well, it worked out for you, and particularly your routing in the back half of the seed was pretty masterful. Just absolutely clean, wonderful run. Well, so I believe this is the first win for you guys tonight. I think contention for playoff spots. So what's this mean to get the victory here?
It's good to put my team in a position to make the playoffs because this, between Bolt Strategy and Blue Moon we are playing for a playoff spot.
Yep.
And I don't know
the result of the earlier race between Simbu and Night
Yes, which I am very curious to go check out because both of those 2 are fantastic runners as well. But it's a little bit of spoiler
going on.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Well, so what's your plan moving forward? What are you going to do? Since there's obviously, it looks like there may be more free enterprise for you guys to play, or mixer rather, for you to play in this tournament. What are you thinking?
Take the rest of the night off, take tomorrow off, and well, back to practice because there's given the giant time there's a very good chance I've got a week 9 play-in game.
Well,
week 9 tiebreaker game.
Well, I tell you what, you could probably take the whole next week off if you like.
Why do you say that, Grant? Are you one of the teams in there?
No, I was more referring to the fact that there will be a rest week before the playoffs come up.
Right, but there's also
the tiebreaker scrum.
Yeah, there's also tiebreakers, and if a tiebreaker happens, I'm going to be stuck in it. So,
Rat was at Masamune's spot. So, like, if you go on and check the next thing on the moon, you would in fact find the rat and not.
Yeah, but I had a clear path.
No. Like,
yeah,
we talked about it, and we're like, yeah, no, like, are you going to do 2 more moon bosses, or should you just have done giant, right? Like, and the answer is, of course, you should just do giant. What are the chances?
But there's also a chance. Yeah, there's also a chance Ratel is a chain behind the twin harp.
Yep. No, that was totally possible too, right? Like, so, like, it was. I think it was like I love the decision to go to giant, even though it took me a second to realize you were in go mode. But like,
well, the other thing is,
it was funny that it was there.
You're the only runner who didn't stop and take a bunch of gold dragons, so you actually probably benefited quite a bit from that experience on the giant too. Not to mention that lovely double life glitch that you dropped in the ribbon room, which was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, 300k from there is nice, and then another 500 from the giant. That's all you need.
Yeah, everybody was getting the nuke off of the ribbon room fight and not off of giant fights. So, because they ground earlier, right? Like, you're the only
adamant armors. What do I need to grind for?
I know. That's the thing, is that only one other person did the triple adamant armor, the thing, and I don't remember which one.
It's
because he went fast.
It's Garen. Garen's got the other. It's got the triple adamant armor going on right now as well. But
that's right. Garen was exhaustive. That's right.
Well, I think that exhausts most of the questions I had for Engine Dave. How about you, Mecca?
Yeah. This was just you were able to power through the seed very effectively, and like even though like there were checks done that weren't necessarily required, like Feymarch was free, right?
Like everything I did in the underground aside from Shield 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dark, the payoff for Dwarf was pass, which okay, great pass, right? But yeah, no, it's just the underground was kind of bust until Tower Key appeared behind Sheila 1.
I decided to peek what's going on in the stream. It looks like no one took the Cecil that was on the moon. No one was enticed by the Holy Man.
Irene took. Irene actually is carrying this, I believe.
Never mind.
Nobody found a crystal sword or anything.
Or an Excalibur.
Honestly, when I tossed him, I had no stick.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly looks like the right decision for how quickly you hit go mode right after. Just it's not worth it to stop and hunt for that. And I got to congratulate you again, Engine Dave. It was extremely well played seed tonight.
Thank you.
Wonderful to watch.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Mecca, for doing the comments on this. Oscar for rolling this wonderful zoomy seed. And thank you, Fiery Blizzard, for tracking, and RPG Limit Break for hosting us. Always good to get on your channel.
Well, cool. All right. Well, thank you very much, Engine Dave. We appreciate you doing the interview. And ladies and gentlemen, prize, your winner at 119.51, Engine Dave.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yep. Of course, that these are two separate races. So while Engine Dave has won the race against Noob Tree, Irene versus Garen is still an active race, even though Irene is a bit ahead.
Yep, and it looks like we're going to have our second version of music as Noob Tree is complete its last objective to get the crystal. And in fact, we may get back-to-back music. So, do you want to give them a little bit of a brief pause, or should we regale them with our wonderful and wit banter?
We can stop for a second. I like this theme.
Yeah. All right. We'll let the music play, folks.
All right. It's done. We are so very overpowered for these spots, right?
Yeah.
We took out Earth in we took out Earth at 12 minutes, right? Like we could, right? Like this spot is weaker than Earth.
Yep. Well, we shall see. We shall see how things. Like I said, the two bottom racers in purple, Irene and Garen, are still racing. Noob Tree will, of course, finish well. But those two have something a bit on the line. I think they're also the first race in their group. There is a race out there between Nightdew and Simbu that might be looked at. I will, however, ask our chat, as we usually do, please not to mention spoilers for that race or this race. There's a lot of people out there who may come back and watch this on replay later and may want to still be surprised by what the result's going to be. So keep your eyes open and we'll see what comes up here. Meanwhile, Noob Tree having no problem. I think Irene is going to have a pretty similar fight here.
Again, this is just really fast. Boy, this theme.
Yep.
Mode 7. Sorry.
We do love Mode 7. Well, and we have Noob Tree fighting, stepping into the Z fight to close out the seed. I suspect that Z is going to once again get absolutely shredded here.
Yep.
And not in the let's get swole way.
Right. Even with fewer adamants, adamant armor doesn't provide that much defense against it here. Like, it still provides defense, but it's not. Its defensive capabilities aren't the winner, right? Like at this spot.
No, the real value of having an adamant here is the speed bonus you get through the added agility.
Yep. But ultimately, that's not right. Like the power is still plentiful here. With a white mage, a fully leveled white mage with the couple of nuke casters, we might well be through this just as quick.
All right. Well, and Irene has finished and gotten his crystal. We'll be seeing him into the fight probably about a minute and a half behind Noob Tree. Garen is making his way through the giant. Irene, we'll see. The difference between Irene and Garen is going to be those adamant armors, and Z's not always a gimme, especially for the runners who won't have the adamant. So it's not quite over for Irene here or for Garen. There's still enough time for there to be problems.
Yeah, and I mean, once Garen is through the giant, right, like the last two things they have to light up are
this giant check and then the package.
It's just a package, right? So Garen definitely Garen will be in the fight, right? Like if Irene takes a long wipe, right? Like Garen might be able to come in and power through the fight. In theory, Irene has the tools.
Yeah. Well, and the talent.
Yeah.
We have the tools and we have the talent. Sorry, I live for my classic 80s quotes.
That's fine. I got it. I'm here with you. I get it. But yeah, we're looking. So yeah, I mean, but sometimes you just get a false start. You're like, oh yeah, I could totally win this fight. Oops.
You see it happen sometimes. There was an unfortunate situation last week with a misplaced elixir that was not fun to watch, so you never know.
You never know.
But that being said, having Spoonward get hit by that on Noob Tree's side isn't necessary.
It's the
Ideally,
text.
you want him to do some damage before he goes down.
It's the text. I talked about this earlier. The damage fell in that small range of Ruby's life, and so we saw text boxes before Ruby crumbled.
Yeah, he can talk about returning. He's not coming back tonight.
He's not coming back.
All right. Pretty good. 8,500 damage out of Rydia. That's great for not having an adamant.
That's good stuff. We didn't see Stardust Rod either, right? Like Rydia's got Sorcerer Robe as the major, like Sorcerer Robe and like +5 Wiz gear, +3 for the Gaia. Like we're not looking at.
I think we saw Lilith staffs out there too, so that's most likely what she's got on.
Yeah, it was just +5, right?
Meanwhile, let's see how we have competing nukes here. An 8100 and was that an 1800 off that Rydia?
That was reflected, I hope.
Yeah, no, that was a reflected nuke coming back. You're right. Yeah, even with a Heron.
Yeah, like 1800. That can't be right. But yeah, it's,
All right, well, rocking through the fights here. The Big Bang seems sufficiently nerfed here. I don't think either of these runners are going to have a problem getting through this Aromas. It's a little bit too much power for him.
Mm-hmm. I think that was first round nerf, so we'll see how it goes from there.
I don't think we're going to see a second Big Bang out of these guys. It's not in the cards with this crew.
Yeah, the first Big Bang in Zeromus is very easily nerfable. The other ones, the other ones take a little more coordination.
Well, this is an expertly programmed game. There are definitely no flaws in how this was put together.
Yeah, I mean, if you got time limits, right? Like, you got time limits, you got stuff that you cribbed from, previous games, right? Like, sometimes you miss a few things. And in this case, they missed some stuff going on with setting magic attack power and the runner nukes.
Well, I tell you what, Nutri is running a little bit. Oh my, it's going to be Solo Rosa in this fight.
Solo Rosa? Oh, no, 2 HP ran out, which takes forever.
Yeah. Well, do you just pop a Star Veil and then dump the white on him?
She can take 3 hits, assuming she doesn't dodge any. Swag White?
Oh, Swag White's, a lot of fun.
Swag White's a lot of fun. I'm not sure what his counter is at this in phase 4 for White.
Well, I think that's it. That 9,000 damage was more than enough to close things out, and so
it was.
Finishing second is Noob Tree, which I believe his time is going to be sitting right at about 1 hour and 36 minutes. So GG's to Noob Tree.
GG's to Noob Tree.
And we'll see if we can get him in the booth here.
Yep, Swag White does the job. Once you're in Meteor phase, you have like 14,000 or so HP, or somewhere between 14,000 and like 5,000 to take care of. So.
Well, and that chime tells us that we have been joined by Newtree87. GG's Newtree.
Thank you very much, Mecha Tallgrant. I appreciate the GGs.
Okay. So, tell us what you thought of that seed. How did it feel for you?
Honestly, the seed wasn't too bad. It felt like everywhere I checked was a zonk whenever I needed a key item. Fey March being free, I was like, oh, this maybe we'll get some value out of here. And it was fairly fast, but I got a life staff out of it, I guess. In the end.
Yeah, that's the case. So, one thing I'll ask you: you were the only runner who did not take that hook and immediately go check the hook route and grab the hovercraft. You went and looked for loot and watery pass. What was your plan?
I was debating on whether or not I wanted to go ahead and check Antlion and Hobbs, and I wanted to get a little bit of power because you got Edge there and you got Rydia. That's great to start with if Edge just finds some enemies that you can flame. But I wanted to be able to attack. Edge being my my hero meant later on bosses are going to be fast and I need some damage.
Well, it certainly was, and you did get that early power, not in the form of a weapon, but of that pink tail that you found that in Antlion Cave that immediately turned itself into an adamant armor.
Yeah, that felt really good, especially finding that Leviathan orb. I was like, okay, Rydia, let's go. You're my attack child today. And she did very well throughout the very large majority of the seed.
Yeah, she put in a lot of really, really good work for you there. Other than that, routing was pretty standard. I think the last of the bosses you would have checked off on your box would have been that All Gauntlet and the Cave Mist, would it not?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah, that was the last one I checked before taking the hook route. I checked package just to get the face check there, see if there was a cheeky gauntlet hiding in the background, but fortunately it didn't roll that way for me and didn't get any spicy good news.
No.
Right, and you just happened to check them out of order, so you then it's just like maximum punished. It's like
Yeah, and you were not the only one who went through that route, and in fact I think the only person who did not have to who did not attempt Keyless Tower and get to come back with the tail between the legs was Irene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Someone keeps telling me, always check Keyless Tower. I don't know who it is, but I'm going to have to talk to them.
Oh, I would talk to him. He seems to have a propensity for loving too much Sid on top of everything else.
That's rough. Like, I also like Keyless Tower a lot, but also Sid?
Yes, also Sid.
I don't know who this is, but yeah, I could support a conversation.
Well, Newtree, we had mentioned that you and Ninja Dave are in team battle, locked for that last playoff spot. Unfortunately, this means that the Blue Moon Dew is going to be down 0-1 from this, pending the results of Simbu versus Night Dew, which we do not know. So what can you say about your team, and what do you think their odds are of pulling through the other 2 wins you guys need to push into the playoff country?
Well, we've got Fly Eagles Fly gearing up for their round. I believe it's Saturday against a really good opponent in Batasia. So we're looking for a really tight race. We hope for a win, obviously, but we're based on whatever happens with Simbu, I'm going to say right now, even though we're down 0-1, we're not down and out. I'm rooting for my team. I'm going to be sitting there cheering them on regardless of what happens. And this is week 8. It's the last week we get to play in the quote-unquote regular season. So destiny unfolds at the end of the week, and we'll see where we're at. But until then, I'm super proud of my team that I've been a part of. Great group of people that I've been playing with. Simbu's been super knowledgeable and helpful. Blues and Fly Eagles improved greatly from week 1 till now. And everyone just was so gracious chatting talking to. So really fun time regardless of the outcome.
Well, you know what they say, Nutri. It's the last week of the season. Can't hold anything back now.
Absolutely. Just like that ribbon room didn't hold anything back with value.
Boy, howdy.
Well, Nutri, do you have any final thoughts for us tonight before we cut you loose?
Honestly, I just want to say thanks to my team once again for being awesome throughout these 8 weeks that we've been racing. I want to thank Asuka for rolling that nice seed and restreaming, Bengagong, Fiery Blizzard for tracking, because I know twin casts are super difficult to track. You guys did amazing. Mecha and Tall Grant, thank you so much for commentating. I can't wait to rewatch this to learn and listen to what was going on throughout the entire race.
All right. Well, GG's, Nutri. Congratulations. Great run tonight.
Thank you. Y'all have a great evening.
All right, folks. That is Nutri87 of Blue. And I think we are about to be joined by the winner of our second race, Irene. And speaking of the winner of our second race tonight, here is Irene. Cheese, Irene. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was a fun run.
Well, it was fun to watch, particularly because there was some sameness in the other 3 runners, and then there was a route.
You definitely played the most aggressively, which I love.
Gosh, it was fun to watch it play. What were your thoughts? What was going through your head when you chose that? When you decided that it was time to do the hook route?
Well, I saw it was Sparkle, and I was just praying, please don't be Wyvern. Please don't be Wyvern. Anything else, I can probably find my way around. And it worked out.
No, you were significantly faster underground than anyone. And it was really fun because it meant it led to one other interesting thing, which who tried to do Keyless Tower.
I thought about it. I've had bad luck with that in the past, especially seeing that it was kind of a free boss. I had confidence, so tempting, but I always want to try and get Tower Key. And I had plenty of other things to do. I still had some surface stuff I wanted to get done. I was really just looking for an early Darkness Crystal or some kind of early objective, early Twin Harp that might snowball into something else. Didn't quite pan out. I did end up having to go get the Tower Key, which did turn into Darkness, so that worked out pretty well in my favor. The big hang-up I had was just not finding a healer soon enough, so I did end up having to do Zot, which worked out.
Yeah, we didn't see Porum at all on anybody's stream. Or Fuso, for that matter.
Yeah, just hidden off doing other things tonight, I guess. So, it worked out really well for you. The only other thing that was kind of interesting was you regarding Master, because we detected a little bit of indecision there.
A little bit. It's always dicey. I never plan on it, but it was early enough. I was still assembling my party.
Well, and the experience certainly came pretty quickly afterward.
It did, maybe a little too heavily. It wasn't in the back of my mind that I still had to do Giant, so I might have done a couple too many Gold Dragons, because there's still 500,000 experience that I'm bound for on the Giant. So, yeah, definitely a little bit stronger than I would normally be for the Z fight, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, that cup of noodles had no shot.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the Cecil decision because you got Cecil, put him away, went down, did ordeals, and picked him up, all without a Holy Sword and on tap, right? Like just the Light Sword, right?
Right, and to be honest, I was fully prepared to just reset out of ordeals. Like, if this is not a key item that's useful, or if it's just some random J item, I'm out. I don't need Cecil. I can make do. Turns out it was needed, so I had to do the walk down, and then I figured, why not? Kane's not doing me any good. Let's just trade him up. I have, a baby light sword. It'll be good enough.
Yeah, but yeah, ordeals being hard required definitely, right? Like, had us wondering when you would come back to get that. Cecil did manage to drive you that way.
A little nervous about that, and also about whether you would check Miss Cave to find that alt gauntlet, because both of those things you waited pretty late in the seed relative to the other runners to go look at it.
I generally try and wait till I have a reason to go to Mist. So I knew I had to burn the village. So as soon as I found the package, that was going to be my let's go check Mist Cave. Then while we're out checking things, let's check Waterfall. Didn't have to because then all the bosses that were relevant were gone. And it turns out D-Mist had the package, so that was the right time to do it. And I wasn't quite close enough to go mode to start looking for bosses yet or face checking things. I just got very fortunate. And to be honest, I almost reset out of that. It's just such a force of habit to say, oh, I checked Mist Cave on principle. And then, wait a minute, I don't recognize these enemies. This isn't a boss.
We've all done that at some point where you see exactly what you're looking for, but then you hit it anyway because, dang, it's satisfying to hit that.
It is that.
Well, that's a victory for you and for Brew Dude Attitude, which I think you've come in as a very nice support player and really helped pick this team up. So how are you feeling about your teammates and your experience coming in the back end half of the tournament?
It has been a lot of fun to go from spectator to contestant. This team format, has been just exceptional for especially someone new like me, just to kind of learn the ropes. I've been getting a lot of pointers from my teammates. They have all been great, so huge shout outs to all of them. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this whole experience. It's been wonderful.
All right. Well, any final thoughts for us tonight?
I am looking forward to the next tournament. This has been too much fun. Just want to again say thanks to my team for having me. Thanks to the commentary. Thanks for the restream. This is going to be a fun one to rewatch. I don't know how he did it, but I saw in the log that NG Dave finished much quicker than me, so I'm really excited to watch his run and see how it differed from what I was doing.
I'll give you a hint: 3 adamant armors.
That will do it.
Can you think of anywhere you didn't check that might have had a few trap chests?
That was the main reason I hesitated on Cecil. Like, I really don't want to go back to Eblan yet. It's so late in the seed.
Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes Eblan pays out big.
Yep.
Well,
I mean, I agree with your thought line there, but yeah, it so happens that an earlier Eblan has definitely paid dividends.
Yep. But regardless, a well-run seed tonight, really fun to watch, and you got the win. So GG's.
GG's. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the whole hosting team. Thanks, Oscar, for restreaming this. Thanks for the commentary, and thanks for all the viewers. It's been great.
Cool. All right, folks, that was Irene, and I think we have one more runner to talk to tonight.
Yep. Aaron was waiting in the wings and has joined us now.
Garen, GG's, congratulations on your run tonight.
Thank you.
So tell us, what did you see in the seed? How was it?
It wasn't too bad, really. I mean, 3 adamant armors is pretty generous for a seed like this.
It certainly is. Did your eyes kind of pop when the second one dropped?
In the same place, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, me too, honestly. Like, I was just like, second adamant armor, okay, we do have a couple of characters that could benefit on third adamant armor.
Well, so I gotta say, that overworld opened up into a very generous opening, because very quickly you get that pink tail for an adamant armor, they give you that hook, and you've got your earth crystal. So you've been kind of handed, but you haven't necessarily been handed a great weapon. What's your thought process at that point?
I mean, Eddie had a pretty early spoon. It's like, okay, that's one thing.
Oh, I take that back. There was that. Not everybody checked Baron in quite so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Radiohead Leviathans, that was fine for her. I mean, yeah, the Cane weapon, the Cecil weapon never showed up, but, you know, you make do.
I wouldn't say the Cane weapon never showed up. He kind of seemed happy with that Dragoon Spear you handed to him.
Yeah, but Defense Sword or a White Sword would be much nicer, you know?
We watched you doing that in preparation for the hook route and kind of said, adamant armor, Cane with Dragoon Spear, this is probably not going to be an issue.
No Avengers was particularly sad for me, because...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but you figure I didn't have to worry about agility mostly with all the adamants. Like, yeah, just leave it on battle speed 1. Don't worry about Cane or Edge too much with the agility, and just go.
Yep.
Well, you were not the only runner who ran into this, but what was the kind of feeling when you came out of this tower, knowing that the top of it just didn't have what you were looking for.
Well, it's the usual last location, the darkness crystal, the path to it. I mean, that was a haunted underworld. It's like Worf was nothing, Baymarch was nothing.
Well, so. I think there's only the only person who didn't last location that darkness crystal was your opponent.
Which would explain why I finished in the second place on this one.
Yeah. Well, that Irene kind of took an early hook route.
It was two very different routes. It's tough to say exactly what kind of it broke down to.
Yeah,
right.
And I think it was that the fact that the hook route turned out to not be difficult played a big role in the outcome of the seed. Because if there had been something a bit more unpleasant on the way down there, it could have very much altered how things and flipped how things played.
Definitely true.
Well, so this is week 8 for you guys. I don't think you're quite up in playoff contention, so what thoughts can you give us for how things went on the tournament for you?
Let's go back to Potion Party.
Okay.
Heck yeah. 100% with you on that one.
Well, still, I think an impressive showing for you, though. Some really great races in here, and of course, if I can't stop and tip my hat to you, you were kind enough to work on my race earlier this week, so much appreciated for that experience too. But have you had a great experience at the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty fine. I mean, the Moonveil next I do a little bit rough run. I always seem to last location everything, so it's like,
well, rando sometimes get a rando you. You can't always help it doing that. But you put on a great show for us tonight. It wasn't quite enough to get the win, but it was entertaining to watch, and it was well run to see what you did. It's just a couple of checks didn't quite work out the way they needed to pull it through for you tonight.
Yep, I mean, I saw where Rat Tail was. Like, if I check Rat Tail, maybe not do the cave value, it might work out a little bit differently. Never out.
Well, I wouldn't feel bad. I think we talked about it on stream when we first saw that check, and we felt like that what all of you did was the smart play. Of course, rando's going to rando itself and make us look like chumps, but that's what it's going to be. So, well, do you have any final thoughts for us tonight?
No, not really. I mean, it was a pretty straightforward seat, I thought. No real problems with it. Just, bad luck, rando.
Well, it is, but I'm sure we'll see you back soon, because I think we saw some very, very good skill in how you played tonight.
We'll see you back tomorrow doing commentary.
Yes, we will.
Actually.
And we'd highly recommend you guys check that out. I got to listen to Garen's call from Tuesday night and thought it was fantastic.
It's actually the same team tomorrow night.
Even better. All right. Well, GG's, Garen. We wish you well. And you have a good night. And I think that's going to do it for our little broadcast tonight. I don't think we have any free enterprise to bring you tonight, but I do have 2 exciting matches to tell you about that are going to be broadcasted. Plus 3 actually matches for tomorrow, unless Mecca would rather discuss it.
I'm not sure what you mean by the third one, because I only see 2.
Well, there's actually 2 on the free enterprise channel there's 2 listed on the free enterprise channel in the twin cast, actually, which is what's tripping me up. And that's going to be a matchup of CS Radical from Bimmy, I take it back, Micro Quarks from Rusty Spoons versus Rex Banner in Big Trouble in Little Kaipo, and then Yoshi Kion and New Moon versus Bardic Panda in the last minute decisions. And then right here on RPG Limit Break later tonight, I'm looking at today's races.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like,
why don't we let Mecca do it, because he actually knows what he's talking about.
Why, thank you. So Blaze from We Wear Shorts and Winter and Poidrak from Time Zones Are Us are going to be going at 7 Eastern on Free Enterprise Prime, with Maggie the Cat and Possum Morpheus doing comms. And then RPG Mill 710 from Bimmy and Jimmy World versus Lord Goober from Radius Rebels at 8 p.m. Eastern on Free Enterprise 2, with Garen and Sheep Launcher doing comms with Tall Grant's strong recommendation.
All right, folks. Well, I think that's it for tonight. So we wish you all the best. Have a great one. We hope to see you guys next time.
Yep. Remember to follow our runners and perhaps also the comms team as well. Tall Grant, Bangagong, Fiery Blizzard, and Asuka, as well as perhaps myself. We've been glad to bring this to you tonight, and we'll see you elsewhere on the internet.